Hey, She Slayers, this is a special sample cut from this week's episode. If you find this interesting, be sure to make time to go listen to the entire episode released this past Sunday. And please be sure to help a girl out and follow or subscribe to this podcast. So, when did you start to like really remove yourself from practice?
Probably, 20, maybe 17
2017.
ish, something around there. 2017, 2018.
Did you have to one thing that a lot of chiropractors really deal with as they're starting to remove themselves is this, like, guilt that, like, "Oh, I have Fridays off, but the rest of my staff does not." And they, like, feel this, like yeah, they just there's really no other word except, like, they just feel guilty that other people are working in their clinic and they are not.
Yeah, I maybe I had that a little bit, but not a ton, I don't think, because I still, I'd be at home working.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and every entrepreneur is shaking their head going, "Oh god, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
working." And that's where I'm like, "But you're still working," but they they're like, "But my team doesn't know I'm working."
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, "Do they
I
not though? Are you sure they don't know
I
you're
try
working?"
to make it clear to them that, "Hey, you know what? I'm just working from home. If you need me, call me, text me, email me,
Yeah.
whatever you need to do." And they kinda know. I mean, I've had my staff is pretty long term. I've had
Yeah.
them for a while, and they kinda know I'm kind of a workaholic, so
Yeah, and that's all right. So we're not super helpful in this scenario because it's like we're workaholics. So it's like our staff knows, like, oh, you're working. Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, you're
yeah,
working on Saturday or at this time or that time. I think if you start dropping the ball on things for your team, that's where maybe that rift would go of like, okay, so you said you're pulling back a shift so you have more CEO time, yet you seem just as frazzled and disorganized as you were when you were adjusting. But also,
yeah,
I feel like we so often think that that's almost a reliance of like, I'm going to pull back, but don't you worry, I'm working. And it's like, but you don't have to, right? Like, that entrepreneurship, like when you're the owner, it's this weird beast where it's like, in order for there to be balance, you sometimes do need to like go golf on a Tuesday
right.
from 2 to 5. Like, and yeah, your team is working. And yes, if I get a Teams message on the 7th hole of like, how should I respond to this? Like, yes, many a times been like, hold on, I'm just messaging the team quick type of thing. But like, I don't know. I think there's some kind of insecurity more so on a personal level for docs who are afraid of what their team will think. I think those same docs just will struggle themselves with being like, no, it's okay that it's midweek and you're not working right now. Like a lot of them probably came from like two parents that worked 8 to 5 and like you were lazy if you didn't. And so I think it's probably much more of a personal root issue for those
Yeah,
people.
yeah. And yeah, I think, yeah, and for me, they kinda know. They'll know I'll be working on the weekend, and I'll come in on Monday and say, "Okay, I did this, this, and this,
Yeah.
so go get me this," or whatever,
Yeah. And
so
then I did have one staff member of a long time actually once make a comment of just like, some of us are just what this was, oh my God, I don't even know what year this was because it's probably like 10 years ago. And she was like, some of us are just wondering like what you do when you like what and let me tell you, she no longer worked for us within 2 weeks of that statement. Like, yeah,
yeah.
because it's just so obvious of like, oh, you don't trust. Okay. Yep. You don't trust me as your leader. Therefore, you have
Mhm,
to go type of thing. So,
mhm.
so what did you start to like? What kind of systems and procedures did you realize you needed to have in your clinic to run without you?
Well, it wasn't that big of a transition because I'm kind of a person who, like, okay, systems, procedures, like, from day 1, I've always been like, "That's important." And so we've always had those. Then it was kind of a gradual step down, I think. It
Yep.
wasn't like I was in seeing patients full time, and then all of a sudden I'm not.
Yeah.
It was kind of over years, I kind of gradually
One shift at a time type of
cut
thing.
back, like, I go from seeing patients and taking new patients to I'm just gonna start seeing my wellness patients. Those are my people. And then cutting back, I think, hours. Like I've got, a couple hours on Wednesday morning and a couple hours on Thursday afternoon and a couple on Monday morning, whatever it might be. I don't even
Yep.
remember what hours were. But it was kind of that. So then people kind of got used to it. I wasn't taking new patients. Um, and then, so I had all those systems and procedures in place. New patients would go to the other doctors. And then kind of slowly, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I kind of cut back just to the wellness people. And then I think I just decided, okay, I want to be done. So, and I had,
Yeah,
uh,
so you don't adjust at all. So, like, what did you had been adjusting for so long at that point. You've got, like, your OGs, you've got patients that, like, you want to adjust them. How did
yeah,
you yeah, what was that like going to, like,
there
0
was
hours
probably
adjusted?
so yeah, so there was a few now that you say that. So then I cut back to my wellness patients and just saw those, and then they had to conform to my hours. And some of them were like, "Okay, this isn't working." I'm like, "That's great.
Yep,
You can see Doctor so
yep,
and so,
yep,
Doctor."
there's a couple that hold on, you're like, "Okay, so you're only here Monday from 1:30 to 3:15. Okay, I can do that," and you're like, "Can you though?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." They do it for, like, 2 months, 3 months, and they're like,
Yeah.
I might have to move to Thursdays," and you're like, "It's okay."
Yeah, yeah. So that was kind of the thing. So some of them had to go to a different doctor. So I'm like, okay, good, that works. Some of them just like there's a few that like, nope, they only wanted to see me, and it's like, oh, okay, well then you got to come in on these times. But then they were used to the other doctors too. The other doctors had been there for so long, and I'm sure the other doctors had seen them if I was out or on vacation. So that wasn't so foreign to them. And then they were just kind of, yeah, I think they just kind of gradually got used to it and knew, and that was that.
Mhm.
So,